The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. Greetings to everyone. Today the world is being told a fairy tale. Donald Trump said the war is over. He says Epiferi won in the first hour. But while he manages a PR crisis in Washington, Wave 44 just proved that his victory is a total fabrication. As we speak, the Fatah hypersonic missiles, weapons that don't just fly, they scream, have slammed into the heart of the occupied territories. The eyes of the American empire in the Middle East are going dark. Billions in hardware gone. Radar in Qatar and Jordan trash. If Trump won, why is he stripping defenses from South Korea to save a sinking ship? Today, we'll look at the cold reality of the battlefield and the man with nothing left to lose, who is dictating the pace of this war. Let's talk about the missile mass the mainstream media refuses to frame honestly. An Iranian drone costs about $20,000 US. The interceptor the US Navy uses to shoot it down, between $3 to $15 million. For every dollar Iran spends, the US must spend 60. The Pentagon produces maybe 7 interceptors a month. Iran is launching hundreds. It is a mathematical nightmare that the West cannot win. Wave 44 involved the Karomashira and the Kaiba Shinka missiles, solid fuel monsters that can be moved, hidden, and launched in seconds. They hit Tel Aviv, Haifa, and the US Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Ask yourself if the Iron Dome is perfect. Why did they suddenly redirect all the live cameras away from the sky? You only hide the sky when things are falling through it. Donald Trump called the new spring leader a lightweight. The Israeli foreign minister mocked him. But they are taunting a man who just buried his entire world. His father, mother, and his wife were unalive in the February 28 strikes. He emerged from that rebel from zero interest in negotiation.
First piece of intelligence. Iraqi militia groups have started to take action. A US KC-135 refueling aircraft was hit by a missile and crashed. On the 12th local time, according to a statement released by the Iranian Armed Forces and cited by Iranian media, the Iraqi Shia Resistance Organization launched an attack on U.S. refueling aircraft that had entered Iraqi airspace. They used missiles to attack 2 KC-135 refueling planes. One crashed immediately in western Iraq, while the other landed safely. All crew members on the crashed aircraft were killed. However, after this news was released, it was immediately and explicitly denied by the U.S. side, claiming that the crash was not caused by hostile fire, but was due to a sudden accident. Rescue operations are still ongoing at present. According to the second piece of intelligence, Russian media reported that, according to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran, the U.S. aircraft carrier Lincoln was damaged after being attacked by missiles and drones and is now retreating toward the United States. In response, the U.S. Central Command has repeatedly and explicitly denied these claims, stating that the missiles and drones launched by Iran never came close to the carrier, with the nearest impact point being about 7.5 kilometers from the ship, and that all were intercepted or veered off course and fell into the sea. At present, the Lincoln is still carrying out combat missions in the Gulf of Oman. According to commercial satellite images, the Lincoln's hull is intact and it continues to maneuver in the Arabian Sea, rather than being deployed elsewhere. At present, both sides have significant differences in their account, making it very difficult to verify either side's statements. The third piece of intelligence. U.S. Treasury Secretary Bassett announced that in order to expand the global reach of existing supplies, the U.S. Treasury Department is providing a temporary authorization allowing countries to purchase Russian oil currently stranded at sea. At the same time, the Treasury Secretary revealed that as long as military conditions permit, the U.S. Navy will immediately begin escorting ships together with the international coalition. The fourth piece of intelligence. The Israel Defense Forces claimed that they continued to launch large-scale attacks in Tehran that day and have destroyed 2/3 of Iran's ballistic missile launchers. According to additional reports from U.S. media, Israel relies on Iranian civilians to provide drone strike targets. At present, Israel has targeted more Iranian nuclear scientists, aiming to prevent Iran from moving its nuclear and ballistic missile programs underground. The fifth piece of intelligence. The headquarters of the U.S. Fifth Fleet has come under heavy air attack. Iran has announced the launch of a new round of large-scale counterattacks. On the 12th local time, according to an announcement by the Iranian military, a fierce airstrike was launched against the headquarters of the U.S. Fifth Fleet base in Bahrain, using dozens of missiles and a large number of drones in 2 waves of attacks. According to the Iranian side, the base's anti-drone systems, unmanned surface vessels, heavy logistics equipment center, fuel storage facilities, and areas where U.S. soldiers were gathered were all precisely targeted. Today is my rest day. After my slow 10 miles yesterday. But the only thing I could do is get outside. Oh, find some fresh air. Pray for peace. It is the public sentiment in Israel at the moment, and many people would clearly support the government. They'll rally around the flag in times of crisis. But is that sentiment changing in any way? Do people trust Netanyahu? Things are changing, but slowly. It started with zero of euphoria because of the James Bond achievements in Tehran, in Iran. Everyone was applauding the pilots who did a good job, and the assassinations and the very precise hits. But soon after it, things changed, obviously, because the price raised up, and the price will continue, I'm afraid, to rise up. This is not a sustainable life. I don't think that Israeli society can go on like this for a very long period. Everything is paralyzed, everything is closed, the economy is paralyzed, no schools, nothing obviously, and I have always to mention it, nothing obviously, to compare to what the people of Gaza are going through. If I will always remember them when I am rushing to the shelter, while they can only dream about the shelter. But in any case, this is not a sustainable life, and I don't see the Israeli society going on with this for weeks, months, or gone through it here. As airports are closed, no way out, no way in. It's not simple. Yeah, I get in, as you say, this crisis can't go on forever, can it? So, under what conditions then, politically or militarily, could Netanyahu bring this conflict to an end? Because it seems as though Netanyahu has put Israel on this terrible path of perpetual war. I'm not sure the statement depends only on Netanyahu, it depends also on Khamenei. Both are tough, both are not accepting to see any kind of defeat, and therefore this might be longer this time. It's not Hamas, it's not Hezbollah, it's Great Iran. And I'm not sure that they can put an end to it right now, especially when there is not much of a leverage over them. And about Israel, as usual, it depends on the support of the United States. As long as the support is there, I guess Netanyahu is very devoted to continue. And there is still a support. I can't say that the Israeli society is against this war. But the price might change the mind. But for the time being, a lot is depending, as usual in the Middle East, like when the Americans, and as usual there, at least the Americans are not doing enough to stop wars. Some breaking news: Israel took a huge amount of damage last night by Iranian attacks, and Iran was using missiles that we didn't even know they had the capability of making. For context, the missiles Iran was using last night, we had never seen before. These were missiles that broke up into 80 or so smaller missiles to evade Israeli air defense systems. Because of this, the Israeli Iron Dome air defenses got completely overwhelmed and stood no chance of intercepting the Iranian missiles, because there were so many of them. And so Iran carried out a massive attack on Israel all of last night, and possibly hundreds and hundreds of buildings in Israel and Tel Aviv have been completely leveled to the ground. Now, there's videos that have come out of these attacks last night, and it's safe to say this is something we've never seen before. Not even in the war in Ukraine have we seen attacks on this scale. The videos coming out of Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, etc. show hundreds and hundreds of missiles just falling into the ground in Israel, blowing everything to pieces. Now, this is absolutely crazy. This is technology we didn't know Iran had the capability of making. And because of this, a lot of people are asking questions of how did Iran get this technology? The scientists that could have done this were assassinated by the US and Israel months ago. Iran should not be able to make these missiles. And so there's a lot of people saying that maybe Russia and China have actually delivered the technology to Iran for Iran to use against Israel here. And if that's the case, and that proof comes out, it means that Russia and China are directly kind of involved in this war, and they've supplied these missiles that we've never seen used before to Iran for Iran to use against Israel. As I said, these missiles would break up into 80 or so different missiles, which would then hit their targets in Israel. This is absolutely insane. Israel has been hit really hard this past hour. There's been 4 waves of ballistic missiles from Iran to Israel the past hour, and this included the uninterceptable cluster warheads. Major areas of Tel Aviv were without power, and there are tons of injuries. Also, Israeli authorities have shut down the internet in areas of Tel Aviv to avoid any damaged videos getting out. There's been well over 60 direct hits in the past hour. Also, the American Fifth Fleet in Bahrain is on fire. Video of the Iron Dome. Watch this one right here. It doesn't intercept a single rocket. Count this. This is what 6 Iron Dome interceptors, and a ballistic missile right above just comes right through them. I don't know if I'm believing the odds anymore that 95% of them are being intercepted. We can watch this ballistic, not even a cluster warhead, make its way down. Plus it even tried to get intercepted, and it's going to have a direct hit. The censorship out of Israel right now, specifically Tel Aviv, is insane. They're threatening jail time. They're putting cell jammers. They're literally intercepting videos as people are trying to send them to each other.
He isn't coming to the table. He's coming with a fatal tool. He knows that modern American society is not built for long-term pain. Americans are sensitive to gas prices. Iranians have built missiles in basement under sanctions for 47 years. Who has the higher pain threshold? The pampered customer or the people who know what sacrifice looks like? This is where the victory narrative falls apart. Trump says it is over because he needs the stock market to stay green. But Benjamin Netanyahu just told his people something else entirely. He's calling for an existential struggle that could last years. There is no clean motive. Trump wants to lower oil prices and run. Netanyahu wants to dismantle the region. This confusion is why Wave 44 was a total success. While the leaders argue the U.S. Navy is being paralyzed, the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed, and the Navy knows the risk is too high to reopen it. They don't have the ships, and they don't have the missiles. Things are really getting tense. Because this new Iranian leader has nothing to lose. And we ask ourselves, Trump comes out to tell us one thing. Benjamin Netanyahu also comes out to tell us another. For now, the world is confused as to what exactly these two people want. Nobody really knows what they want. People are saying they want regime change. Others are calling for something else. But it's like everything that they are doing, the more they try, the more the people get united. And these attacks are happening everywhere. Bases, we are seeing how they are even evacuating the American personnel from everywhere because Iran, the new leader, is in pain. Look at somebody losing his entire family in one strike. And that person comes and he now has to sit down to negotiate with the same people who, and that is why he said they should be prepared. And that there is not going to be any liter of oil leaving that Strait of Hormuz. That he is in total control. We've seen that even the USSR Ford, the warship of the United States of America, according to reports, was struck, but they came out to tell us that it was a minor whatever. You know, they always try to cover things up and tell the world that things are in their favor. But no matter what, we are seeing the evidence from everywhere that things are not the way they claim they are. And this is teaching us a lesson as Africans. We need to build. Self-dependence is the only thing that will get us to where we want to be and stop depending on people. Now the Gulf states, the Arab states, everybody is in a total mess. Look at their banks, their assets. Dubai, that was a place for luxury, for peace, is now becoming a war zone. Simple because they have decided to keep the basis of the oppressor. So it is a lesson for us. I hope we will not sit here and be talking and our leaders will be watching for another 40 years to come and we will still be like this and Iran will move because under sanctions over 40 decades, Iran is changing the narrative in the world. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in the United States of America.